Welcome back. So, in a previous video we had a simple first-person character controller walking around a scene. However, having a scene made out of blocks could be cool in some indie games. We're going to go ahead and make a terrain to work with for what we've started. So, Unity has a very cool terrain system, and I'm going to go over kind of the basics of how to get that to work. So, you can go in here and I believe it's game object, create other, and terrain. When you do that, it creates this big terrain block. It's set up at 0, 0, so I can move my my original scene kind of in the middle of all that. However, it's gigantic. I don't need to work with something that big, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. The terrain object in the hierarchy, in this inspector, we've got a terrain script, and that has the TerrainSystem elements in here, as well as a terrain collider, which applies collision to the terrain and to trees that are placed on it. The TerrainSystem has things such as raise or lower the terrain. It's got so raise, lower, paint height, so you can set it to a specific height. Smooth terrain, if something's a little too jagged, you can smooth it out. The painting texture, you can paint textures for grass and rock and that sort of thing on the terrain. And then you have place trees. It actually takes a specific tree object that you would put in here under edit trees, and then you would add one. And then you have paint details. Details can be things like grass or any other detail meshes that do not have collision. If you have like flowers or something like that that you just want to be there, that's where you would put that in. And then finally the terrain settings, which I need to go into and reduce the size of our terrain. So in here has a lot of different details. However, you want to kind of set these before you get started. So I'm going to go in here and set this to 256 by 256, and that gives me something much easier to work with. Especially for doing these videos. So there's our original terrain. Here's our original level. Here's the terrain. I'm going to go ahead and apply that. I guess that's already applied. Let's move our original stuff somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to grab all of these by shifting and selecting, and then I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to hold control and move it to kind of the middle, and then over to like the middle-ish area, and actually not even the middle. Let's go like over here. That'll be the start of our level. Zoom in and raise this above that. So here's gonna be our original level on top of our new terrain. So our terrain is a big white blob. We should probably make it look like something. Unity actually comes with some packages for terrain, so let's go ahead and use what we've got as a demonstration. So I'm going to go up to Assets, and then Import Package, and then import the Terrain Assets package. And go ahead and import that. And then I'm going to go over to the painting, the texture, and go Edit Textures and Add Texture. And now that I've added this package, there should be some dirt, some cliffs, grass, that sort of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and click on cliff because I want everything to start with rock. And hit add, and now everything is painted with rock. And now I can actually see the difference. And with that, you can actually go edit texture and you can change how it tiles. So if something's too big or too small, you can fix it. So I have that. So let's make a boundary. I'm going to paint like a mountain wall around this level so you can't see outside of the level anymore. So I'm going to go to, let's set terrain. Let's set the height to whatever our top is going to be. Actually, I want to set my settings to max terrain height of 150. So I can't go any higher than that. And then go back here and set this to, let's go 120. And then when I want to make peaks, I can go up a little bit higher. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to select flat brush, change my brush size quite a bit so I would get a big old flat thing, and just start painting around here to seal off the level. It's definitely really high up there, so if you keep holding it, it'll eventually hit that peak, but we're pretty much at the very bottom of this giant terrain. Actually, I'm gonna make this brush size much bigger, kind of grab the edge and do this. Just paint around that. Definitely not what a mountain looks like, but it's going to get us started. This ends up being the longest video because I have to do a little bit of art painting, but playing with the terrain system is pretty fun, so I hope you enjoy it. So paint that way, paint around this backside. Maybe that height's a little too big, but I'll eventually want to climb up the mountain, so we're going to be all the way at the bottom there. Almost there. It's going much faster when you zoom out, just as a tip. Running back and forth while holding down left click to kind of pull everything up. Once it flattens out, I know it's at the top. And we almost have our full, complete mountain wall. Almost. All right, here's a mountain wall. So there's some variances to it that kind of happened as we were going around. That's totally fine. In this video, I'm not going to clean this up just yet, but I wanted to show you what else you could do with the terrain. So down here at the bottom, I've got my platforming level. I'm going to go ahead and add a small kind of plateau that this is on, and then we're going to put some water down. So plateau, let's go set this as 15 maybe. Let's do 15. And go. This is how high it's going to go. This is going to be kind of our little landmass that we're going to work on inside of that. And so if we need more, we can add more. It's all the same texture because we haven't, added a different texture yet. Also, we're underground, so I have to pull this up. So I'm going to grab everything and pull it up to the top here. Now we're on the ground, and let's go ahead and paint some grass on this so we know that this is our landmass that we're on. So I'm going to select grass, let's do grass hill and add that one. And if I select grass hill, there's a smooth brush currently selected. So if I change my brush size and just start painting on this, you can see it starts blending in the grass texture. And this way I can keep the walls kind of rocky and paint grass down. Kind of create this other layer to everything. And usually terrain's not going to be super flat if it's realistic, but once again, I'm just trying to show you how to use it. So there's our edge, there's some grass, and then instead of having just this rock at the bottom, we're going to add some water. Once again, this is a separate package, so I'm going to go to Assets and Import Package, and then import, where are you at? Water Pro only. Since I'm using Pro, I figure I'll put the Pro one in here. Go ahead and hit Import. And there's a couple different waters that they'll add. There's one specifically that I really like, so I'm going to put that one in here. So let's go to Standard, Water Pro only, and then in Water 4, they have an advanced and a simple. I'm going to grab the advanced Water 4, kind of place this in here. And Water 4 is nice because it creates kind of a oceany, like kind of where the water would roll up on it thing. However, it doesn't fit my terrain. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either duplicate this and move it around, or you could scale it and change some of the settings. But I'm going to duplicate this and kind of fill my space up holding control so that they match, and then do the same, go in the other direction. Duplicate and roll back this way. See, does that fit? Zoom in a little bit. There we go. So there's our water setup with the player on the island. If I hit play, it maximizes. Here's our original platforming setup, except for we've got water and a terrain now that I can kind of walk around on. There's the mountains at the top and our little platforming setup from the video before. Already much easier because we can see some more level around us, so it's easier to kind of see where we're going. That's just some basic terrain stuff. I'm going to go ahead and also add some trees in here. So let's do trees and let's smooth something out just to show you that that does work. I'm going to create a, let's do it like a platform that we can use later for something maybe. Let's set it to 30. It's going to be the height of the platform, and I'll go ahead and select the harsh one. And this platform is going to be right here at the edge. Come around the side, maybe use some of that, and we'll have to repaint over what's grassy on there to make this look more like a platform. Roll around there. And bring this back around so that our player can kind of walk up it. So let's use that as the walkway side. Let's come over a little bit more into the grass. And then I need to change the height of this. So you can either click on raise lower, and you can hold shift to lower. You'll need a softer brush to get this to be less, shift, to get this to be less harsh when you lower it. And as you lower it, it kind of cuts into everything else. If you hit smooth and hold that down, it'll kind of pull everything close by, but it's not going to be quite what you want. And this is just going to take some time to shape. One of the easiest ways that I found was setting multiple heights. So if this is 30, we do like a 25, like over here-ish. So this would be like 25, and then we would do a 20 down a little lower, so we get our steps, and then we do a 15 down here. And once we have some steps, we can go through and smooth it out. So now when I smooth it, soft brush. Now when I smooth it, it's much easier to kind of get the setup of steps, and then we can smooth it some more or change some of the terrain some more to get kind of a pathway going. But now we have at least some steps going on. If I increase the brush size, maybe I can smooth this out a little bit more, kind of like that. Getting a little closer. Got some hills, and then we can go on through the hills and paint some more like rock on the side so we can separate this. Go over here, separate the side of it, so now it looks more like a hill. Turn this lighting off so we can see. Paint around the side. This is a very harsh edge, so it's stretching the texture really bad. Usually you wouldn't want to edge like that. It doesn't look too natural, but there's a hill. And if we want to get natural, we'll just take the smoothing brush and just kind of run over this whole thing. There we go. Now we get something that's a little more realistic looking. In some places it's stretching a little bit more, but at least it's a good start. So running around the side there, painting around it, and now we have something that looks a little bit nicer. Let's do one more texture and get a little dirt path going. So add texture, select dirt. Let's do actually grass and rock. Matches a little bit more. Change the brush size down and create something that's about our player size. So there's our player. He's looking at these blocks, but let's say from here he's It's going to have a little walkway. It's a little too big. Maybe 8. A walkway. In our walkway, we're going to come out from here, kind of wrap around, and then go to the path. It's going to kind of go up this hill here. Up the hill. Going up the hill. There, and then it's at the top of the hill. Open up there. And now that we have that, we should probably get some, the trees and the grass. We need trees and grass. So when I added the terrain thing, there should be some trees, or at least a tree. If I go to add tree and select here where trees at game object, here's a palm tree. So I'm gonna add the palm tree, hit add, and then the palm tree is selected. This is like kind of the giant size of placing trees. If you just leave it like this and click, it creates like a ton of trees. But if you want to control how that places, you need to kind of change the brush size, the density of the trees, and you can do variation of the height if you want to get, many different heights of things, variation of width as well, to get stuff to look a little bit less systematic. And once you have that done, you can kind of click and move and not create a ton of these things. These trees by default don't have colliders on them, so that's something that you can add to the original tree prefab. There's a couple trees down on our tropical island, and then let's add details for grass. So add a grass texture. Up here at the top is this detail texture when this opens, and then we can select, over here is grass and grass 2. I'm going to select grass 2. These textures are specifically set up with alpha. Alpha is to make it transparent so that they look like blades coming out of the grass, and not so much another just plain texture. So I'm going to select that, and I'm just going to leave it as its default and hit add, and then it puts it here. And then grass paints similar to trees. If you hold down, it'll just start pouring a ton of them down like that, but I don't want a ton, so I'm going to reduce. Let's do higher brush size and lower opacity, I guess. There, now it kind of spreads it out a little bit, and if I just kind of click around and just dab a little every so often so it doesn't overrun things. If you put down too many, you're going to have some very angry players, unless you have some quality settings or whatever, because it's going to drag some computers to a halt if you have too much flowing, detailed grass and stuff. Also see that things kind of pop and change when I move the window. That's because there's different detailed settings for the editor. You can actually change this by going into, if you go to the gear for the terrain script, or the settings rather, you can raise the detail distance, and you can also raise the billboard start for trees so that you don't see this one's all bent right here, and that's because it's not actually a tree yet. It's rendering a billboard, or turning it into a flat plane of sorts. So I'm going to change that to, let's say, 150 or something. Now those trees are all rendering, and now if I go up this hill, let's keep painting some grass. Fill this grass up some more. Plop, plop, plop. Okay, here's our hill, and just make a clearing there. And now, if I hit play, here's the character on a platform. There's our terrain. Terrain's got grass on it. The grass kind of moves and flows. It also has two different colors. You saw there's the regular color and the dry color, which gives it kind of a blend of different variances of the texture. So if I walk up my pathway here, kind of following the trees, and then all the way up to the side of this, got a nice smooth path that I can kind of follow. Obviously I would smooth that out a little bit more if I want to spend more time on it, but we can climb all the way up here, and here's our clearing, and look over the side, and there's our original platforming setup, and our water and everything. So there you have it. There's using the terrain system to paint some simple details and wandering around on it in first person.